Portuguese Airlines, TAP, take another plane, and Air Uganda, they are great. They let the first-class passengers eat the second-class passengers. There'll be phone calls about that one. Now, Ronnie, I want to ask you something. Have you ever flown yourself?
No, not piloted myself.
Well, let me tell you, the best way to go about it, 48 gin and tonics, 18 Mars bars, and you'll fly anywhere.
But I do everything like that.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Anyway,
well,
we're going to show you...
We're
going to, no, that's the other bit.
Oh, that's
we're going to show you a plane now that is the ultimate in passenger flying.
Really?
A310 Airbus, and the pilots operate from television screens.
Oh, wonderful. We're going to watch that now?
Yep.
You're trying to tell me they can watch the television and fly the plane?
That's right.
So Bruce Forsyth could become a pilot, is that what you're telling me?
Something like that.
Hello, lads, bit higher, 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 lower. He'd crash it. Over now to the...
Airbus.
The Airbus.
Well, I don't know whether this beauty would help to change Jimmy's mind, but no air show would be complete without the very last word in passenger jets. And this is it, just coming into service, the brand new A310 European Airbus. This is a plane that will fly into the 21st century, designed by a consortium. There are only two in the country at the moment. They're just coming into service in West and Central African routes with British Caledonian, as you can see. This one piloted by their fleet manager, Captain John Vetch, who lives near East Grinstead, and he describes the A310 as a piece of magic. In fact, the body for it is built in France, the engines are American, and the wings, they're the good bit, they're made in Britain, in Chester, at Chester in fact, and they are reckoned to be the greatest wings flying. Inside the cockpit, all the controls are on TV screens, by the way, the so-called glass cockpit, the very latest in aircraft design. In their short lives, the Airbus family have proved very reliable indeed. This one cruises at about 520 miles an hour, 40,000 feet up, with around 190 passengers. But today's compliment aren't paying. This Airbus is carrying a party of handicapped children who've come along today to enjoy a lovely day out laid on by the Golden Lion Children's Trust, an airline charity.
Plane of the show and some of the men who fly it. And it's very much a hush-hush operation.
Early morning at an airfield somewhere in eastern England. The peace is about to be shattered.
Travel 1 and 2, clear taxi. Runway 24, the QFE 1024.
Yeah.
Surface wind is northerly 8 knots.
It sounds like a tornado's hit the place, and that's exactly what this aeroplane is, the new swing-wing Tornado strike aircraft, Europe's most important warplane. Its role would be to penetrate the Iron Curtain at low level with a heavy bomb load to be delivered with pinpoint accuracy. Fortunately, though, today they're just practicing.
Morning, gents. Net brief for today, then. You look at this as the chart for last night at midnight. You can see very little's changed from the rest of the week. High pressure still to the west of Ireland there.
Every morning at RAF Marham, home of the tornado-equipped 617 Dambuster Squadron, pilots and navigators take part in those classic briefings much loved by the movie makers, the day's weather and some revision on what the enemy looks like.
BMP.
Correct. Take yours.
Gepard.
Yeah, Gepard. NATO air defence. Another NATO air defence for you, Lottie.
Crotal.
But the men who fly the Tornado, like pilot Pete Dunlop and navigator Dick Middleton, belong to the computer age. Their day's mission will be encoded on a simple cassette tape, including remote areas of Britain where they'll make dummy bomb attacks. The map references are computerized. In a few hours' time, a simple cassette tape will be flying £13 million worth of high-speed bomber, with the pilot just monitoring things, and the navigator able to put those old-fashioned maps away.
It's changed a good deal, certainly from my background, which was on Vulcans, where basically I was in charge of a pencil and a chart and very much telling the pilots where to go. Here, it's made a lot more simple by the advent of the computer.
Tornado's just coming into service with the air forces of Britain, Germany and Italy, its joint builders. 800 of these machines will be Europe's most important military jets. This is the low-level strike version. Britain has also ordered a fighter variant for air defence. The swing wing allows low-speed loitering or twice the speed of sound flight. It's been received enthusiastically by the pilots.
It's a superb aeroplane, very modern, high technology, and it performs very well. It's early days for the aeroplane, but I think it's come a long way along the road in the short 2 years we've had it in service.
I know it's never far from your mind that one day you might be called upon to go perhaps into Eastern Europe in anger to drop bombs, real bombs on real people. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm a professional. It's my job. Governments come and go, but basically we are part of the Royal Air Force. It's our job to do that. We're paid as professionals to do that. And as you saw in the Falklands, people got on with it and did what was necessary. I think personal views really don't come into that. It is very much a profession.
The pilot and navigator, a Yorkshireman and Lancastrian, who must work in perfect harmony, prepare for the day's sortie. Each aeroplane in the squadron lives in its own individual bomb-proofed hangar. The mission starts in early afternoon. By tea time, they'll have visited imaginary bombing points in Wales and Scotland. They'll have refueled in the air above the North Sea, done some gunnery off the east coast, and they'll be back on the ground in Norfolk. This mind-blowing high-speed tour of Great Britain will be accomplished without the pilot having to touch the flying controls at all once they're airborne. The RAF could hardly have chosen a more fitting squadron for these early tornadoes than 617, one of the most celebrated squadrons in flying history. Just over 40 years ago, the bomber was the Lancaster, its objective the German dams. Tornado would have the same sort of task, low-level, bad-weather strikes on pinpoint targets. And the commanding officer of the new 617 squadron is well aware of the historic link.
We like to think of ourselves as the natural successors of the dam busters. They went out at night, very low level, to destroy a target with pinpoint bombing. We can go out in exactly the same sort of conditions, in fact in really rotten weather, and we can, with pinpoint accuracy, destroy any target that we want. We feel, if you like, that we are the complete successors of the old-time dam busters.
Well, earlier on we saw the man with the most amazing flying machine of them all, Kinney Gibson, who's got no visible means of support except a backpack. He's our rocket-powered flyer today. Kinney, you're very welcome, and we're all very confused as to how it's possible.
Well, it's actually a rocket motor that powers the rocket belt. It's 800 horsepower, comes out the two nozzles that you see to my sides here, and through those nozzles it allows it to pick myself and the belt up with no wings or rotors.
And of course the flying controls are these two hand grips here, which allow you presumably to control how you're going along.
That's correct. We've got simply forwards, stopping, or backwards, left, right. Then right here is our yaw control, and it's turned like this. And if you'll see, it works the little deflectors on the ends of the tubes.
And that's to twist you around, is it?
That's right.
Yeah.
And then here we have our throttle, which you simply think of as up, down, up, down.
How dangerous is it? Because rocket fuel is not stuff to be played around with, I think.
Well, it's like anything. As long as you know what you're doing and are familiar with what you're working with, then you'll have no problems.
I know you fly all sorts of machines, aeroplanes, hot air balloons, you're a parachutist as well. Does anything touch this as a way to go flying?
No, they're all together, they're about 50% as much fun as this.
Do you go shopping in it? I mean, has it got any utilitarian value?
Last week we went shopping with it, but we only do it once a year.
What do the people think as you come flying past?
Oh, it amazes them just as it amazes me.
You're still amazed that you go flying,
Oh,
are you?
yeah. Every flight's different.
Good. Kinney, good luck. I'm going to ask you to do it once more because I can't believe it either. Would you give us a twirl, as they say?
You bet.
Oh, dear me.
Just amazing.
Follow that, as they say. It's certainly beats hanging around at bus stops, I suppose.
Indeed. I don't know about buses. I'm going to be on my bike before they ask me to do any more crazy stunts.
It's probably a good move. Before we go, we ought to say a few words of thanks to the many people who've made this event. It is a charitable event, the TVS Air Show. Such a success, both up there in the sky and down here on the ground.
And to the thousands of spectators who've helped us, help Operation Raleigh and the RAF Benevolent Fund.
Right, and that about wraps it up, I think, for the moment anyway, here at home. We'll be back in 2 years' time, but in the meantime, let's leave you with some of the sights and sounds of the show.
Well, that's it. We've had a super time at this wonderful TVS Air Show. We hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we have. So until we meet next time, from me and from Emu... Where is he gone? Emu! Hey!
In the brief this week, Luke defends a soldier charged with a crime of passion.
I know he didn't say much, but I don't think it was murder.
It doesn't worry you. He could be locked up.